ought to come down Georgia way one day. I'd like to have you meet them all. I think you just love Peckerwood.
Peckerwood? Who's Peckerwood?
Oh, no, ma'am. That's the name of my little old plantation.
Hello to all the classic people that are returning. I'm glad you're back. I want to welcome any new visitors. There will be spoilers ahead. Today on Classic Movie Review, we are taking on the beloved comedy, and to a certain degree, a Christmas movie, Auntie Mame, 1958, starring Rosalind Russell, and she's pretty amazing in this role. I want to shout out to Teresa for her comment on The Garment Jungle, 1957. Also to Bob for the movie recommendations. I plan on doing a few of the films you mentioned. It's also always good to hear from David. Thanks to Nicholas for the nice email from Europe. Please keep contacting me. I really enjoy it. I have loved this movie for as long as I can remember. This film has a 7.9 rating on IMDb.com. On RottenTomatoes.com, the film has a 93% on the tomato meter and 93% audience approval. Pretty outstanding. The movie was also nominated for 6 Oscars, but did not win in any category. The nominations were for Best Motion Picture, Best Actress, Rosalind Russell, Best Supporting Actress, Peggy Cass, Best Art Direction, Malcolm Burt and John James Hopkins, Best Cinematography, Color, Harry Spradling, and Best Film Editing, William Ziegler. New York Times film critic Bosley Carruthers said in a December 5, 1958 review, quote, "Hurricanes may be out of season, but one blew into the music hall yesterday along with the Christmas stage show. The name of it is Auntie Mame, and it should be causing much turbulence in the area until well after the Christmas holidays. For this full movie version of the stage play, with Rosalind Russell again at the center of it all, does sure enough generate gales of laughter as it sweeps across the screen. Like the stage play before it, and indeed like the character of Auntie Mame, its Beacon Place Maharents, it is largely inflated with hot air, of a sort of intoxicating vapor or theatrical laughing gas. There is little or no solid substance to its heroine and her milieu of cafe society jokers, freeloaders, phonies, and freaks. Most of its whirling, swirling action is a succession of virtual skits, strung together in a loose chronological order that extends from the Prohibition era until the present, and it scatters anachronisms as freely as a cloud scatters rain. But for all of its absurd exaggerations and bland inconsistencies, this picture of a tireless party giver is a highly entertaining thing to see, and because of the gags that gush from it, it is a constantly amusing thing to hear. What's more, in its superficial racing across several stratas of rich society, it does catch some glimpses of behavior that flash a few glints of irony." Unquote. Actors.
Right, and I'm a Shakespearean actor.
Patrick Knowles played Lindsay Woolsey, not to be confused with the Cloth, a successful publisher and would-be suitor of Mame. Knowles was first covered in the John Wayne Western Chisholm 1970. Also covered in Chisholm 1970 was Forrest Tucker, who played Southern gentleman Beauregard Jackson Pickett Burnside. I don't know how Burnside got in there with those Confederates. Dub Taylor had a very small uncredited role as the county veterinarian in Georgia. Taylor was first covered in another John Wayne Western, The Undefeated, 1969. Fred Clark, who specializes in playing unlikable characters, played unlikable Dwight Babcock. Clark was first covered in the great film noir Sunset Boulevard, 1950. Pippa Scott played Mame's secretary, Pegan Ryan. Scott got her first role as a kidnapped child in the John Wayne Western The Searchers, 1956. Rosalind Russell had the primary role as Mame Dennis, aka Auntie Mame. Russell created the role of Mame on stage and received a Tony in 1957 for this role. Russell was born in Connecticut in 1907. After finishing high school, she attended the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, graduating in 1929. She worked in stock theater and on Broadway. In 1934, she signed with Universal but got out of the contract and went to work for MGM. Russell got into comedy early with The Women, 1939. Other comedies include His Girl Friday, 1940, The Trouble with Angels, 1966, and Where Angels Go, Trouble Follows, 1968. In total, Russell was nominated 4 times for an Oscar in My Sweet Eileen, 1942, Sister Kenny, 1946, Morning Becomes Electra, 1947, and of course, Auntie Mame, 1958. Russell had another great role in Gypsy, 1962, playing Rose Hovick, the driven showbiz mom of stripper Gypsy Rose Lee. Russell worked on Broadway throughout her career. She died in 1976 from breast cancer. Roger Smith played the adult version of Patrick Dennis. Smith was born in California in 1932. The handsome youth was trained in speech, dancing, and singing. When he was 12, the family moved to Arizona. Smith acted in high school plays and was a star football player. Smith attended the University of Arizona, having earned a football scholarship. He sang and played guitar in talent contests and appeared on television. Smith was stationed in Hawaii in the Naval Reserve and had a chance meeting with James Cagney. Cagney encouraged the young man to come to Hollywood. When Smith did, he signed a contract with MGM in 1957. Smith began working on television and made a few movies such as No Time to Be Young, 1957, Operation Madball, 1957, and Crash Landing, 1958. Cagney cast Smith as Lon Chaney Jr. in A Man of a Thousand Faces, 1957, and the musical Never Steal Anything Small, 1959. He was in Auntie Mame in 1958 between these two movies. Smith switched to Warner Brothers and was cast as a detective on 77 Sunset Strip, 1958 to 1963. It's a very good show and the episodes are still worth watching. Smith left the show after being diagnosed with a blood clot in his brain. He divorced his first wife in 1965. He married actress Anne Margaret in 1967. While Smith continued to work in show business until 1968, his primary focus became supporting his wife's career. He did this through management, production, and writing. The couple remained married for 50 years until Smith died in 2017. Peggy Cass was a riot as Agnes Gooch. Cass was born in Boston in 1924. She spent 3 years in Cambridge High and Latin School without landing a speaking role. Cass moved to New York and studied at HP Studios in Greenwich Village. She worked various jobs and performed overseas with the USO. In 1949, she had her first lead role on Broadway. Cass received a Tony for the Broadway production of Auntie Mame. Cass was a regular on The Tonight Show with Jack Paar. A quick wit made her a regular on television shows such as To Tell the Truth, Password, and Match Game. Cass died in 1999. Story.
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
Edwin Dennis, a very wealthy Chicago businessman, executes his will. He leaves his vast wealth to his only son, Patrick Dennis, played by Jan Hanslick. The will directs that in the event of his death, housekeeper Nora Muldoon, Connie Gilchrist, will deliver Patrick to Edwin's sister, Mame Dennis, Rosalind Russell, who lives in New York City. He also directs that Dwight Babcock, Fred Clark, of the Knickerbocker Bank, will have financial control to keep what Edwin calls his too damned eccentric and crazy sister from bringing up Patrick anything like her. Edwin dies the next day. It's just about 1 year before the great stock market crash. Nora delivers the 10-year-old Patrick to Mame's apartment, where a wild party is taking place. The door is answered by Mame's butler, Ito Yuki Shimoda. Mame comes down to meet all sort of prohibition booze drinkers. Mame thanks Nora as a cleaning lady. Mame perpetually gets the date wrong and is not expecting her nephew until the next day. She introduces Patrick as her little boy. Mame introduces Patrick to caviar and other party food. She introduces Patrick to her actor friend Vera Charles, Coral Brown, a Lithuanian bishop that doesn't speak English, and a cautious page, Henry Brandon, who teaches at an avant-garde teaching academy. In the crowd of partygoers is Gloria Holden, whom actor William Holden is named after and was the star of Dracula's Daughter in 1936. Mame gives Patrick a book to write down words he doesn't understand. Lindsay Woolsey, Patrick Knowles, is Mame's part-time boyfriend, but he senses Patrick may end their relationship. At the end of the party, Patrick has a list of words, primarily sexually, but one drink called a monkey gland.
Well, now, read me all the words you don't understand.
Libido, inferiority complex, stinko, blotto, free love, bathtub gin, monkey glands, Karl Marx. Is he one of the Marx brothers?
Mame continues her carefree life with no regard for money. Mame sleeps all day after drinking all night. but this is harder to do with a child around. Mr. Babcock plans to meet with Mame and decides to drop in on her. Patrick goes to meet Mr. Babcock and makes him a fine martini. Mr. Babcock does not approve of anything about Mame.
Well, we must spare the boy certain influences from the wrong side of the track, shall we say?
Mr. Babbitt.
Babcock.
Yes. It was very good of you to come.
But what school is it going to
You
be?
name the school of your choice, and Patrick and I will know exactly what to do.
The first thing he does is take Patrick out of the avant-garde school and places him in an exclusive boys' school. Babcock later finds that Mame never enrolled Patrick. Lindsay Woolsey wants Mame to marry him, but she is more interested in raising Patrick. She is also independently wealthy. When they go into the apartment, Babcock and Patrick are in the room. Babcock is mad as a wet hen. Babcock sends Patrick to a boarding school. Mame has a breakdown, and Lindsay doesn't know what to do. Vera rushes in and announces that the stock market has crashed. Mame and Lindsay have lost all their money, but Mame is more upset about Patrick going to boarding school. Vera says Mame can have a part in her upcoming play, which is a drama. On the opening night of the performance, Mame gets her jingly jewelry snagged and generally turns the entire production into a comedy. This ends her run in the theater. Patrick comes back at the end of the play and makes Mame feel better. As the Christmas holidays and Patrick's vacation approach, Mame is out of money. She tries to work as a switchboard operator, but is wholly unqualified. Mame takes a job as a sales lady at Macy's. She is terrible and only knows how to take COD orders. A shopper, Beauregard, Jackson, Pickett, Burnside, Boris Tucker, wants to buy 24 pairs of skates for an orphanage outside of Savannah.
Yes.
I wonder if you could assist me in ordering 24 pair of those fine-looking roller skates.
24 pair. My, what a proud father you must be.
Oh, no, I'm a single gentleman, man. But there's a lot of little tykes at Oglethorpe Orphanage, that's just outside of Savannah, that'll be very happy to see that package arrive.
Beauregard helps her fill out a sales ticket, and the floor walker gets snotty. When he fires her, Beauregard takes up for her. Mame walks sadly through the growing Christmas joy. Patrick makes her happy again with his Picasso Santa Claus when she arrives home. Mame calls Nora and Ito and says they will have an early Christmas. Nora and Ito have used their savings to pay off some of Mame's food bills.
We've got a little present for you too, Mum. Ito and me. I hope you're not going to be angry for what we've done.
Just what is it you have done?
Well, Ito had a bit of money put by, and so did I. For a rainy day, you might say. But we both figured it couldn't get much wetter than it is right now.
We pay grocery and butcher bill. Now, Mr. Schultz, no give nasty look with lamb chop.
She vows to pay them back one day. I cry. Nora asks about Lindsay. Mame says she told him no so many times when she had money, she could not accept his proposal when she is broke. The doorbell rings and it's Beauregard. He has left his taxi running on the street in the middle of the Great Depression. He says it's okay because his oil wells just keep pumping. He tells her that his plantation in Georgia is called Peckerwood.
You ought to come down Georgia way one day. I'd like to have you meet them all. I think you just love Peckerwood.
Peckerwood? Who's Peckerwood?
Oh, no, ma'am. That's the name of my little old plantation.
He takes the entire group out for dinner. Mame goes to Peckerwood in the new year to meet Beauregard's family. His mother, Miss Burnside, Carol Vesey, is unhappy about everyone waiting around to be left in her will.
Beauregard, where is she? I don't see any New York Phillies here. Just the same old loving family group standing around and waiting to be mentioned in my will.
Sally Cato McDougal, Brooke Byron, has designs on Beauregard and is unhappy about Mame's present. Neither his mother nor Sally Cato are happy about Beauregard bringing a Yankee home. Mame claims that she knows how to ride a horse. Sally Cato decides that they will have a fox hunt in the morning. To try and get out of it, Mame says she only rides side saddle. Sally Cato interrupts Beauregard trying to propose. Sally Cato mounts Mame on Meditation, a vicious horse. They help Mame onto the wild beast. She is riding side saddle and has no idea how to control the animal. The poor little fox is released. Because Mame can't control the animal, she takes the lead and makes all of the jumps. At last, Mame saves the fox and is the first one back. The county veterinarian, Dub Taylor, arrives and says that he has to stop the hunt because Meditation is a killer.
I was driving by. I thought I saw. That couldn't be medication there, could it?
Yeah, 5 bit of horse flesh.
He's a killer. I gotta stop this.
Beauregard finds Mame in the bushes, and the vet chews out Sally Cato for attempted murder. Beauregard asks Mame to marry him, and she accepts. Beauregard and Mame go on an extended honeymoon trip around the world. Patrick will visit during school vacations. They have a wonderful time. Patrick is becoming more attached to Babcock and his people. Patrick Dennis grows and is acted by Roger Smith as an adult. Babcock has been introducing Patrick to all the blonde New England Debs. Mame and Beauregard continue to travel the world. Sadly, Beauregard falls off a mountain while trying to take a picture. Vera and Lindsay prepare for Mame's return. Patrick is planning on having Mame write a book about her life. Agnes Gooch, Peggy Cass, arrives to be the secretary for Mame. Mame and Patrick arrive at the apartment. Mame embraces the writing project, and Gooch takes down every word she says. They bring in Brian O'Banion, Robin Hughes, as a live-in editor. He's a smooth-talking rogue. O'Banion lives a high life while Gooch and Mame work on the book. Lindsay wants O'Banion and Mame to explore the option of having her life made into a movie. Gooch is enthralled by O'Banion. O'Banion goes after Mame, and Patrick comes in mid-seduction. Patrick wants O'Banion gone. Patrick announces that he wants to marry Gloria Upson, Joanna Barnes. Patrick will be bringing Gloria by, but only if O'Banion is gone. He hurts Mame by saying that he wants her to act right and normal. Patrick is all in for Team Babcock. Mame calls Patrick a snob.
Should she know that I think you've turned into one of the most beastly, bourgeois, babbity little snobs on the eastern seaboard?
Mame won't let him leave mad, and they reconcile. Mame sends O'Banion to Lindsay's party with Gooch after Mame transforms her dress and style. During the transformation, Mame delivers her key line: "Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death."
Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
Mame convinces O'Banion that Gooch is a countess and very wealthy. Mame lets O'Banion use the Duesenberg for her date. Patrick arrives with Gloria, and she's an obnoxious nouveau riche debutante. Mame is really put off by the vacuous-headed girl. Mame is also taken back when she finds out that they plan to marry and live in a restricted neighborhood. O'Banion has not returned the car, and Gooch comes in and can't remember anything that happened. She remembers they watched a movie about a wedding. O'Banion took off with the car when he found out that Gooch's mother lived on Staten Island.
What happened, Missy Gooch?
I lived.
What kind of party was that?
I don't remember. All that champagne, I don't remember a thing. I think we went to a movie. Yeah, there was a wedding in it, and Gary Cooper was the groom. I don't remember who the girl was, but it made me cry. Where's Mrs. Burnside?
She get ready to go to Connecticut. Where, Duesenberg?
I don't know. Mr. O'Banion said he just had to meet my mother. Then we got on the Staten Island ferry and he disappeared. I've got to see Mrs. Burnside before she goes.
Is anything wrong, Missy Gooch?
I did just what she told me. I lived. I've got to find out what to do now.
Mame dyes her hair a respectable color and heads north to meet the parents of Gloria, Claude Upson, Willard Waterman, and Doris Upson, Lee Patrick. They are pretty well stuffed up their own butts, just like their daughter. Claude and Babcock have already planned Patrick's career on Wall Street. Claude tells Mame that he plans to buy a nearby farm for the young couple and wants her to chip in half the money. Claude throws in some anti-Semitic land restrictions. Mame decides she will give a family dinner in the city before the wedding. Mame has hired a new secretary, Pegan Ryan, Pippa Scott. Patrick comes in for the party and meets Pegan. They hit it off right away. Gooch is several months pregnant. Gloria, Claude, and Doris arrive for the party. Mame has chairs that rise and lower by a cord system that looks like an abacus. Babcock arrives and he's in very tight with the Uptons. Pegan is introduced to the group. Mame serves flaming drinks and pickled rattlesnake. Gooch comes down the stairs and all of the proper people are offended when they find out she is not married. Lindsay and Vera arrive for the party. Later, Atticus from the Avant-Garde Teaching Academy arrives. Vera toasts Patrick and Pegan thinking they are the couple. Lindsay brings the draft of Mame's book. She passes out chapters to each of the guests. Patrick realizes what a great life he's had with Mame and their impromptu family. Gloria tries to take the spotlight and shows her general unawareness.
Miss Burnside, you could practically write a whole book about what happened to me.
Well, I beg your pardon, Gloria?
I said you could practically write a whole book about what happened to me.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. Bunny Bixler and I were in the semifinals, the very semifinals, mind you, of the ping pong tournament at the club. And this ghastly thing happened.
A telegram arrives from O'Banion, and he wants half the royalties for the 4 pages he's edited. In the telegram, O'Banion mentions that he is married to Gooch. Gooch realizes the wedding she watched was her own. Gloria rages on Patrick and says people like this will never come to their house when they are married. Mame has dedicated all of her royalties to finance a home for refugee Jewish children next to the Upsons' house. Gloria trips into the chair controls, and the Upsons storm out. Babcock and Mame argue about who has the right to plan Patrick's future. Mame realizes Patrick is grown, and neither can control his life. Mame says Gloria is an Aryan from Darien and has braces on her brain. Vera wants to know if Mame planned the entire event. Mame denies that she did and offers them rattlesnake to eat.
Mame, did you deliberately plan all this?
Don't be ridiculous, Vera. You know Patrick always makes all his own decisions. Rattlesnake, anyone?
Sometime later, Patrick and Peregrine, who are now married, get a telegram from Mame saying she will be returning from India on June 31st. She plans to return to India when Lindsay finishes his yoga study in 2 weeks. Mame gives presents from India to Michael, Patrick and Peregrine's son, who is about 10. Mame lobbies to take Michael to India. The parents refuse, and then Michael says that they don't live, and that life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death.
You don't live. Life is a banquet, and most poor suckers are starving to death.
Patrick and Peregrine laugh and allow their child to travel with Mame. They specify that he must be back by Labor Day. Mame says that Labor Day is sometime in November. As she leads Michael away, he asks what a word means, and she says she will give him a pad where he can write words he doesn't understand. They ascend the stairs together as she tells him of adventure. Conclusion. Director Morton DaCosta gave this film the feeling of being a play by ending each scene with a Flanagan fade. The lights fade to black, and the solo light remaining most often ends up on Mame's face, but once it was on her back. IMDb.com states that author Richard Tyler Jordan wrote that the Flanagan fade was named after the chief electrician at Warner Brothers, Frank Flanagan, who came up with this flourish. Rosalind Russell was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actress. However, she lost to Susan Hayward from the film noir I Want to Live, 1958. Following the ceremony, Russell reportedly said, "I have to admit that nobody deserves it more than Hayward. If it had to be somebody else, I'm glad it was Susie." World famous short summary: life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death. The show is now completely free and independent, brought to you without ads. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe and leave a review where you get your podcast. It really helps the show get found. As a technical note, references and citations are listed for each show on the site at classicmovierev.com. Beware the Moors, and don't ever watch that Lucy version of this.